Welcome, Farewell fans. I'm your host, MNG, and what have I have for you today? I have another one-on-one, and today I have Christopher here with me today. And, when I do these one-on-ones, I want to bring y'all the best information and the best people that we have to offer so we can have some great and powerful conversations to inspire and enlighten you on things that you may or may not even know about or things that you're going through and you may not have nobody to talk to about it. So we're here to enlighten you and bring you that information. Christopher, can you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Um, let's see. What I got to tell you about me? I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm a hardcore Eagles fan,
Okay.
and when they're winning, I'm happy. When they're losing, for some ridiculous reason, I'm unhappy. But
Okay.
overall, I live in Los Angeles, California now. I'm a former U.S. Navy SEAL and an author, and I've developed a system called True Body Intelligence. So I work with high performing athletes and billionaires and like anybody who is really focused on excellence and wants to be the best version of themselves. I have no idea how they do it. I've never advertised, but somehow they find me.
Okay. Well,
And so,
word of mouth is
yeah.
a powerful, powerful form of promotion and marketing.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to have the gold standard of business, which means you never have to advertise. Like, look at Tesla. They
Yeah,
never advertise, right?
they do not.
In the car market in the world, they have the standard, the golden standard of business. And so I love it. I love what I do. I help put people back together. My mastery is around stress. So I'm the world's foremost authority on stress resolution. I've done 100,000 hours of practical research on the negative effects of stress, plus
Mhm.
how to also resolve that stress, which makes me really unique and someone who is a very good asset to someone's life if they take the choice to involve me.
Okay. So let's explore that a little bit. And I know we connected, and we're going to talk about various things during this interview. So let's talk about true body intelligence, and what does that mean? What does that business mean, and how does it apply to helping other people?
Okay, so true body intelligence, right, implies that we have the ability to help you build a truly intelligent body. And when we say intelligent, we mean a mind that's quiet, emotions that are grounded, a body that's strong, flexible, and comfortable, and a spirit that is highly energetic. Now, what human walking the earth would prefer to have less than that? So, when people are tired all the time, when they have pain in their body, joint pain, when they have headaches, intense menstrual cramps, or they have brain fog, or they have high levels of anxiety. If true body intelligence is the opposite of that, it means that these people have bodies that are dumb. They have dumb bodies. Only a dumb body creates a headache.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Only a dumb body creates joint pain. Okay.
Okay.
Only a dumb body doesn't know how to sleep.
Okay.
Right. Only a dumb body doesn't know how to digest food correctly. Right. So I take people who have bodies that are unintelligent. Right. And I make them highly intelligent. And the way
Okay.
that I do that is through systems that I've been developing for 23 years that diminish your lifetime accumulated stress load.
Okay.
Now, the question is, what is your lifetime accumulated stress load? It sounds like a clever statement, right? But what it is it's all the stress that you've accumulated over your entire life that's unresolved.
Mm.
And when it's unresolved, it eventually shows up as dis-ease, which would be anxiety,
Okay.
brain fog, low energy, discomfort in your body, or it shows up as disease, right? So
Mhm.
when it shows up as disease, we're talking about cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and blah, 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 blah. So if you want to have or remove yourself from a state of dis-ease or a state of disease, you have to address the most important element. All states of dis-ease or disease come from unrelieved stress over a short or a long period of time. Like, how many guys do you see in the NFL that are like 33 years old and they got a full gray beard,
Uh, okay.
right?
Fair.
Like,
Yeah.
like I'm seeing guys like sometimes 30, 31, 32 years old. You know, they're going gray in the head, they're going gray in the face. Well, what does that tell us? That tells us their bodies are always under high level of stress, right? But
Right.
let's flip it in the other direction and let's take a white collar worker who sits on their rear end all day at work, puts in 70 to 80 hours because they're ambitious. They want to move up the ladder. But guess what? They're sitting down all the time. So their bodies are always getting stiff. So they have a lot of stagnation. Stagnation simply moves. There's a limited amount of movement in their fluids, which would be their blood, their cerebral spinal fluid, and their lymphatic fluid. And or there's some disruption in nervous connection, right? Nervous impulse, the electricity that goes from their brain down into their muscles and all their sense organs, which would be your hearing, your seeing, your smelling, and then all of their systemic organs. The systemic organ would be your heart, your small intestine, your bladder, your kidneys, your pericardium, your skin, your gallbladder, your liver. So when you have stagnation and there's a lack of movement of energy, one day is fine. 5 days, now you're starting to create a tiny little bit of issue. But let's
Mhm.
take 30 years of having the same behavior, sitting on your butt 60 to 70 hours a week for 30 years,
Right.
staring at a computer, on the phone all the time, with very little physical movement. Well, what do you think is going to happen? You're eventually going to get yourself in a state of dis-ease because your body's going to be so tight. And one day you bend over to tie your shoes and you're going to rupture a disc. And then you're going to be laying on your back for 2 or 3 months in
Mm.
excruciating discomfort. And so I say to people, why would you want to walk around in a dumb body? A dumb body is inflexible. Okay. A dumb body has a massive amount of stagnation. A dumb body is full of acid versus being alkaline. And so the easiest way to disrupt these patterns is to create a successful pattern interrupt. And how would someone do that? Well, you'd have to understand the algorithm for disease and the algorithm for health, right? The
Okay.
algorithm for disease is simple. I have a limiting belief that turns into stress. That stress manifests as tension. That tension eventually creates distortion, either psychological distortion, emotional distortion, energetic distortion, or what else we got? What mental, physical, emotional, or physical distortion, right? Structural distortion.
Okay.
So when you get to the place where you're in a distorted state for a long period of time, you're only going to create more distortion, meaning you're not going to be able to take action that's heartfelt that benefits your life. So, well, what's the opposite of that? Well, if I have distortion and I have stress on one end and in the middle is physical tension, well, if I simply reduce the physical tension by 50%, I get rid of the distortion and I reduce the stress. So the prudent action for people to take that get involved in true body intelligence is we reduce their lifetime accumulated stress load by 50% by reducing their structural tension by 50%.
Mm. Wow. Now that's not. That's the first time I've ever, looked at it in that sense, so far as, having an intelligent body and having a dumb body. But when you talk about the stress levels and, having high stress levels and, having a full gray beard or, having early gray and everything. Cause I can tell you right now, I got a cousin right now who's growing gray hairs and he's younger than me. I ain't got not one gray hair. But and I asked him, I said, well, what are you stressing over? He's like, well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not stressing. I'm like well, you got more beard than me and you have more grays than me. I mean, I know that I'm bald and everything. I ain't got hair, but I ain't got not one gray hair coming sprouting out. And I have a high level job, but even him in his situation, he has gray hair, and I can see the stress that's emitting from whatever he has going on. Whether he's sharing or not sharing, I can understand there is a heavy weight load that comes along with that, and it is showing in his body.
For sure. And look, the thing is, we all have eyes, right?
Right.
So we can see when your gut's getting big,
Yeah.
right? We can see when your head is protruding forward like a turtle,
Yeah.
okay? We can tell when your upper body's pitched forward and because you got stress in your low back. We can tell when the whites of your eyes are bright red. We know you got liver stress. We can tell when we smell your breath and it's funky, okay, that you have excessive heat in your stomach and your pancreas. We can tell when we listen to you and your voice is raspy and you're sniffling and you're coughing all the time. Like, all you have to do is pay attention and you're going to see where people are holding their stress.
Yeah.
Every human is different in the sense on how they process and filter information and data. But at the end of the day, the body's the body. And so if you overload it with stress, it's going to eventually get weak. And when it gets weak, you get a symptom. Your symptom initially will be intermittent, and then eventually it'll be chronic. And if you don't deal with it once it's chronic, it's going to turn into disease.
Mm.
And then you're going to be forced to leave the planet at a very early age, which would be like 65, 70. That would be early for me. Like I look at someone and think, oh, you
Mm.
get to 55, you get to 65, and you're pulling the plug at like 55 to 65. Mm-mm. You were highly stressed. And what I like about what you said is you said whether they're voicing it or not, whether they're aware that they're stressed or not, the symptoms are telling us. Like
Right.
we can see you're 33 years old and your hair is gray or your hair is falling out or we can tell you got big bags underneath your eyes. Like
Right.
or you've got dark circles under your eyes. The eyes tell the truth. So the thing about this is that most people are stress ignorant because they don't know what stress looks like, right? They
Mm-hmm.
don't know that stress looks like bad breath. They don't know that stress looks like a bald head. They don't know that stress looks like red, tiny little red veins where your eyes are supposed to be white. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know that stress looks like the number of things that I mentioned earlier. So then they make the assumption that they're not stressed. But for anyone who's stress aware, you can easily make a quick assessment on what's going on with the person if you simply understand the basics of stress and how it shows up in someone's body or how it shows up in someone's life. You got a friend who always comes over to your house, they're always late.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're always late, I know you're stressed, right? If you're 15 or 30 minutes early, I also know you're stressed. Because why would you be showing up a half hour early to an event that doesn't start until 1 o'clock unless you had a very stressful relationship with time, right?
Mm.
So as you start to look at your life and you start to assess, how am I actually functioning, right? Some very basics that every human should have. You should have sleep that is restorative and restful. And when you wake up, you're waking up before your alarm goes off, and there's no heaviness in your eyes. Then I know you got a good night's sleep. You should be able to communicate clearly your feelings, your ideas, your thoughts, your mission, your vision, your purpose to your community around you, and enroll people to support what it is you're passionate about. Okay?
Right.
That's just another basic that someone should have. You should have a strong, comfortable, flexible body that has an amazing straight posture. Okay? Another thing that you should have, you should be excited and passionate about every single thing that you do, and you should have an abundant amount of energy at all times. If you don't have those things all the time, all day long, every single day, you're highly stressed. And
Now,
because, go ahead.
I want to kind of touch on something that you had said that kind of took me back a few years. So when you talk about posture, and when some people walk, as you had stated earlier, they walk with their neck out, or they walk with their shoulders down, and they walk with a hunch in their shoulders with bad posture. I learned in high school, um, it, I learned in high school that I had bad posture in high school. I had the slumped over shoulders and everything. And it was more difficult trying to walk with good posture than it was walking with bad posture. Now, some people could say, well, it's because you carry heavy book bags because it had a lot of books in there, or how the case is. And, we could even contribute to stress because we know that high school can definitely be very stressful. Even today's time, it can be very stressful due to social media and the appearance that you want to keep up. Okay. But I also learned in high school that I can also fix my posture. And I felt like when I fixed my posture, and I walked with, my shoulders up and my chest out, it felt better walking that way than it did when my shoulders were down. But it was also a little bit more difficult because my body wasn't used to having that posture or walking with that type of posture.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said that, people have a bad posture and everything, it just kind of took me back to the high school days. Even now, just walking around with good posture, it for me, it just makes me feel better walking that way
Mm-hmm.
than it does when, I walk in and my shoulders down, my head down. It just feel like woe is me when you having bad posture and your head is down.
Yeah, I mean, the key for me when I'm working with people is you can use your mind to create what's called a force posture, where you're forcing yourself to be erect and straight. But the challenge is this, is that you're actually putting more tension in the exact opposite muscles. And now you've got excessive tension on the front and the back. So what I say is what you're looking, rather than a band-aid, what you're looking for really more is a solution. If your pelvis is tucked underneath you, that's going to force your head and your shoulders forward and up. Okay.
Mhm.
So the easy thing to do is to take the tension out of your hamstrings on the back of your legs, take tension out of your calves, and take tension out of your glutes. Your backside has 9 muscles, right? It's got your 6 outward rotators, and you have gluteus minimus, medius, and maximus. And if you work on that for even a month, for like 5 minutes a day, I promise you, you're going to have natural posture that's erect with no effort. I don't want to have to effort to stand up straight. I just want to stand up straight. And so I've created True Body Intelligence. We have the tools to be able to allow every human to walk around the world with amazing posture. And it is, as you spoke to earlier, when your posture's great and you're up and erect, you see the world in a different way. You
Mhm.
interact with the world in a different way. Everyone has something to get done every day. Everyone has a lot of demand on them at an emotional level, like you talked about high school. They got social demands, all right? So you and I are a bit older, so we don't have social demands. Like
Right.
you care very little for what other people think about what you're doing. But when
Right.
you are 13 and you are 15 and you are 17 and you're starting to individuate into your own person, what people feel or think about you is highly impactful. And when you enter a room and you have good, strong posture, everyone in the room takes notice and they respect your boundaries, right? They respect your presence. But when you got poor posture, you're the first person they're going to try to bully.
Yeah. You're
Okay.
right.
And so if you're in high school, or if you're a listener, one of your kids in a high school, the first thing you got to work on is their posture, but you can't put them into like a forced posture. I was in the military. So I know I'm a former U.S. Navy SEAL. So when you go into the military, they always have you standing with this upright posture, chest out, shoulders back. And that creates a lot of problems if you can't actually naturally be in that posture. So,
Mm-hmm.
what controls your posture is the length of your muscles. When your muscles are short, your posture is poor. When your muscles are long, your posture is great. Why? Because all of your muscles attach to tendons that attach them to bones. And so the prudent action to take then is go, oh, well, if this muscle is attached to this bone and that muscle gets really short in the belly, what's going to happen? It's going to change the rotation of that bone. And now my lower legs are going to be too internally rotated, which means now my thighs are going to be too externally rotated. Then my hips are going to be too internally rotated. And that pattern is going to travel all the way up to the top of the neck. And so all you do is just pick two or three groups of muscles in your body and get them longer. And when you get them longer, your posture is going to be stronger and you're going to have to spend a lot less energy when you're standing up, when you're moving around the world, which means you'll have more energy for your social life. You'll have more energy for your emotional life, which is your passions, the things you want to seek, the people you want to connect to. You're going to have more energy for your mental life, problem solving, decision making, understanding. And you're going to have a lot more energy for your physical pursuits. And maybe you're an athlete and you've noticed the last few weeks that, like, man, I'm just so much more tired after practice than I used to be. Well, the first place you should be looking is my body too short? Are the muscles in my body too short and too tight? And if they are, what are they going to do? They're going to constrict blood. They're going to constrict electrical flow. They're going to constrict the lymph. They're going to constrict the cerebral spinal fluid. So, what do you want? You want to open that body up so that your body becomes highly intelligent. And again, like I said earlier, highly intelligent bodies have quiet minds, have massive amounts of energy, are flexible and strong and powerful, and have good posture, and are very excitable, right? Very focused on what it is that helps them feel connected to reality and that life is worth living. Go around, drive around your town, drive around your city, and look at homeless people. And what's
Mm-hmm.
the one thing they all have in common? They all have very poor posture. And what does that tell us? That tells us they grew up in an environment that was highly stressed. And the stress went too far for them. It went 1 degree too far, and they decided to check out from life. Whether that was psychological, whether it was because it was emotional, maybe it was physical and physiological, maybe it was social, whatever it was. If you had gone in and you had effectively had changed their posture, removed a massive amount of generational tension, removed a massive amount of the abuse and the trauma that they went through, their posture would change and they would get engaged back in life because they could see the light at the end of the tunnel and that there was purpose to living.
So when we're talking, so when we're talking about, changing posture, going from a dumb body to a intelligent body, what are one? what made you come up with body intelligence, and how can a person go from a dumb body to an intelligent one?
How did that happen? To be honest with you, is my ex and I were laying in bed. It was in the morning, we were talking about, and she was like, "Oh, maybe body intelligence." And I was like, "Yeah, but there's a lot of people that are going to say body intelligence. I think we have to add another word to it." So I added true. And so that came up in a morning conversation in bed with my ex. This is like 2000, and this is probably 2010.
Okay.
Actually, no, 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 no. This would be 2011. And
Okay.
then that's what I decided to name my work. Now, if somebody wants to go from having a body that functions poorly, right? Dumb is probably um, too triggering, but I said dumb because I wanted to get people's attention, right?
Right.
Like, you got a dumb body or a smart body? Uh, Damn, I got pain. That means I have a dumb body. Yeah, that's exactly what it means. Um, Rather than thinking I'm trying to insult you, think of it as I'm actually trying to get you to understand, like, what's the difference between a highly intelligent body and a body that lacks intelligence, right?
Okay.
Well, but bodies that lack intelligence, they get sick, right? So what would we call a sickness? Headache. That's a sickness, right? Poor
Hmm.
vision. That's a sickness. Poor smell. That's a sickness. Poor hearing. That's a sickness, right? We give names to symptoms, but we never ever relate them to intelligent, right? Because if my kidneys were highly intelligent, my hearing would be good. If my liver was highly intelligent, my vision would be good. If my lungs were highly intelligent, my smell would be good. If my heart's highly intelligent, my taste will be good, right? And so
Right.
all of your sense organs are all connected to systemic organs. So again, a systemic organ, which I mentioned earlier in the call, example of that would be lung, large intestine, spleen, stomach, pancreas, heart, small intestine, kidney, bladder, pericardium, skin, gallbladder, liver, sexual, brain, appendix, thymus, right? Those are your systemic organs. And each one of these systemic organs has a concomitant relationship with some sense that's in your body, whether it's extrasensory perception or it's basic perception like vision, smell, taste, touch.
Okay.
Okay. So to go from a body that's highly stressed, a highly stressed body is a dumb body. That's what makes your body dumb. Unresolved stress makes your turns your intelligent body into a dumb body. So how do we go from a highly stressed dumb body into a highly functional intelligent body? Well, it's very simple. First step is we reduce our lifetime accumulated stress load. And how do we do that? We do that by removing tension.
Okay.
Okay. And so every one of your muscles, they're called tendomuscular channels in traditional Chinese medicine. You look at where your tendomuscular channels are, and maybe, you don't know anyone like me, but you know someone who's a massage therapist, or know someone who's an acupuncturist, or you know someone who's into meditation, you know someone who does breath work, or you know someone who does sound healing, or you know someone who does Pilates or yoga or CrossFit, right? Any one of these practices in any one of these systems, whichever one you like. Maybe you're into more passive stuff. Maybe you're into more like highly energetic stuff. Whatever you're into, just go and get someone who helps you remove the pain that's sitting inside of your structural tissues. Your
Mm.
structural tissues will be your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments, your bones, and your fascia. And as you start to reduce the tension in there, what's going to happen is you're going to see reality in a different way. Your hearing's going to change, your vision's going to change, your smell's going to change, your perception of energy is going to change. Even your penmanship will change. I remember I used to be someone who wrote very neat cursive, and now my writing has totally changed. The way I sign my name has changed. The way that I sleep has changed. I used to sleep on my belly. Now I sleep on my side. And now I'm shifting to sleeping on my back. As I get more intelligent, my body wants to be in different positions. My relationship with food changes. My relationship with beverages changes. My relationship with negative stress management tools changes. So,
Okay.
the very first step that someone can take, which doesn't cost them any money, you can get on YouTube, which is free, and find someone that does holotropic breathing, right?
Holotropic breathing. Okay.
Yep. Put on your headphones. Boom. You can rock that. If that it doesn't interest you, you can find a guy on YouTube named Montauk Chia, and he has a system called the Six Healing Sounds, right? That's going to allow you to address the stress that's sitting at the systemic organ level. Okay. Or you can get on and you can find somebody who does yoga, right? Or some level of Pilates. Like they're out there and they're free. Now, if you want to get an expert like me, obviously, first thing you do is you go read my book, right? You read my book, Free for Life. You email me at support@truebodyintelligence.com. My assistant gets us on a call, which is free. And then I help guide you and lead you to the things that I think would be best for you. And it doesn't cost you any money outside of getting the book.
Right.
And so for every person, it's different. I, of course, think that my body of work is the best because it's the most cohesive and it's the most inclusive, right? I pulled from the best of what everyone has and and I understand the implicate order that it takes in order to turn a unintelligent, sick body to a highly functioning, intelligent body because I've been doing this for 100,000 hours, right? But if you don't have money, but what you do have is you have passion and you have interest and you're able to take heartfelt action to your own benefit, get involved in one of the things that I said earlier, right? If you can't do that, then just take a walk every day for 15 minutes while breathing deeply. Okay. And
Mm.
what I mean by that is this: breathe in for 5 seconds and exhale for 6 seconds and count it. And then exhale for 6 seconds. And go on a walk and do that the entire walk, right? You're going to be flooding your body with oxygen. You're going to be reducing the stress in your nervous system. You're going to go back home. You're going to cook your meal. You're going to cook yourself a healthy meal and you're going to make better decisions. Now, none of that cost you any money. All it did is it cost you time. But maybe you're somebody that doesn't have time, but what you do have is you have money, right?
Right.
And so you find somebody who works with you privately who can upgrade your intelligence around your breath, around the circulation of energy, around movement, and around meditation that will help you get there faster.
Okay. So so now what if so and I'm thinking, so to get some of that tension out of those muscles and realignment, now what if they went to a masseuse or a chiropractor to kind of fix the posture and reduce the tension in the muscles?
Yep.
How does that play a part in there as well?
Yeah, I mean, they can find, there are some very talented chiropractors out there, but most chiropractors these days are really less about manipulation and they're more about addressing deeper issues underneath, which is really more soft tissue, right?
Okay.
So you can go to someone who's a chiropractor, or you can go to a massage therapist or your favorite acupuncturist. And what I'm suggesting is at least you do something. If what you want to do is work on your structural health, then you've got to remove physical tension from the body. If you want to work on increasing your energetic intelligence, you do Qigong, you do Tai Chi, or you get involved in acupuncture. If you want to increase your emotional intelligence, you get involved in breath work. If you want to increase your analytical mental intelligence, you get involved in meditation.
Okay. Okay. So and it sounds like those are some key components right there. Um, because I will say that I have went to a massage therapist, and I felt when they were trying to break me in half. Like the lady told me, she was like, I'm trying to break you," and I was like, "I don't want to be broken," but uh, um, but from that, I did feel lighter. I felt loose. I didn't feel as much worry or anything. Now, when we're talking about the life stress that's been compound over time.
Yep.
Okay, somebody that is just starting out in life, when somebody that's starting out in life, so they're just completed high school, or they're going to college, or just completed college, and they haven't have that much compound stress in their life. Or let's talk about it in two facets. The person that started out in life that doesn't have that much stress, and then the person that has been through a lot of stuff going through life. So they're going through um, parent abandonment, having no father and everything, and they're trying to figure things out along the way. How do, outside of the techniques that were offered, on the low bearing side, what daily practices could they do to stay out, to keep that stress level down?
Yeah, the suggestions that I gave earlier, those are all of those practices. And what it means to practice is it means to do something every day, right? And so you got to show up a little bit. So if what you're most, and what I tell people is find the thing you're most attracted to, right? A lot of people, they're attracted to meditation. They don't want anything to do with weight training. They don't want anything to do with running or swimming. They don't care about Tai Chi or Qigong or breath work. They're really tuned into meditation. And what it means for me is do it every day. Even if it's only 5 minutes to 15 minutes, put a little bit of time in. Now, if you're someone who went through trauma, right? You had childhood trauma, so between womb and 13, or you've had someone who had your boundaries broken, like you had sexual stress or sexual trauma, you had physical stress or physical trauma, or you had verbal stress or verbal trauma, right? Because kids can be cruel. They can
Yeah,
be mean, they can be thoughtless, they can be careless.
yeah.
Then my suggestion is you look at how you are already managing, what negative stress management tools you're using. And I'll give you negative stress management tools a list. That would be nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, refined sugar, white or brown, pharmaceutical drugs, recreational drugs, food colorings, and preservatives. So you've got to figure out how to break your addiction to the daily acceptable drugs. And I suggest you choose one at a time. Find the one that's the easiest to break away from. Maybe sugar's the easiest for you. Then break away from sugar and use different sweeteners. You're going to use honey, you're going to use maple syrup, you're going to use things that don't destroy neurons in your brain. Okay? Then maybe your second one you're attracted to is caffeine, right? So if that's the case, then you're going to have to slowly break away from using that. So this week, cut it in half. Still have a coffee every day, but cut the consumption in half, right?
Mm.
The next week, cut it in half again. The next week, cut it in half again. The next week, cut it in half again until you realize I actually don't need this. Because what's going to happen is as you're using caffeine, your body's dumping a massive amount of cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream.
Right.
And that's what's giving you that intense focus and that pop of energy. But there's a cost. The cost is you're wearing away at your core lifetime reserves every time you have a coffee. So figure out what daily acceptable drug you're the most addicted to and break away from the easiest one first. And that'll be huge. And then replace that with something positive. So if you're looking for that upper, then replace that coffee with exercise. If you're looking for a downer, replace that downer with meditation or breath work, right?
Mm.
Use things that are natural. And once you start getting in a habit and you have a practice, meaning something you do every day, then you're going to be in good shape. And I think one of the easiest things for people to do is join a gym. And if you're not into the working out, at least go to the sauna or steam room and sweat, right? Because when you get in a habit of sweating on a continuous basis, you're detoxifying every day, you're circulating blood and energy and lymph, you're going to feel better. And when you feel better, you do better. But when you feel bad, you do bad.
That is true. That is true. I'm just gonna say this. I like my coffee and alcohol. It's one of the things that makes me feel great, but it is bad for you in any sense of form. I'm just being my own honest truth.
Yeah.
But you know, coffee I can get away from. And alcohol I can get away from. But it will be difficult. I can tell you that. Especially like when you're around people socially and they drink and then you need that quick pick me up in the morning and coffee is definitely your go-to. That's where I know I'll struggle the most at.
Yeah. And look, the thing is, at least you're honest, right? And probably the most important thing for anyone to begin building a highly intelligent, functional body is honesty. And there's two types of honesty. There's inner honesty and there's outer honesty. So one, when you shared that with me, you were choosing to be inwardly honest and outwardly honest. And that's the first step.
Right.
Like grab a chair, sit in front of the mirror, have a soul to soul conversation, and ask your body, like, in what ways am I hurting you? And what is it that I really need to change? And your body will talk to you. And once you build that intimate relationship with your body at a psycho emotional level, not just physical, and energetic and spiritual, then what's going to happen is you and your body are going to be in sync at a conscious, unconscious, subconscious, preconscious, and superconscious level. And then you're going to be receiving all this support. And once you get off of those substances, I can promise you, you will always make more money.
Mm.
You always make more money because you're less stressed. And people who are less stressed make more money. People who are more stressed, they're really working hard to make money. And so by hook or by crook, like whatever I got to say in order to get you to take heartfelt action to your own benefit, I'm going to show you. All the people that I've ever worked with, they always make more money in the end when they get off those substances because they have more mental clarity, which means they make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, it affects your financial decisions.
See, now you speaking to me. When you said money, you already talking to me. So taking away caffeine and taking away alcohol will provide better clarity to make
Yes.
better decisions.
Decisions. Yes. And when you make better decisions with your resources, in the end, you start building wealth, right? Something that you can leave behind for those that are in your sphere of influence that you love and care for, right?
Right.
And so
Huh.
it's very difficult to build wealth when you don't have mental clarity. And
You
how are
know
you going to
that
be mentally clear if your brain is fighting against the substances that you're putting in it every single day?
that gives me thought to two friends that I have that do not drink coffee and do not drink, but are very responsible with their spending
Yeah, of course.
and like savings and everything. And I'm just like, they're like, well, you could do it too. And I'm like, but as you mentioned it, I'm thinking like they don't drink or anything.
Nope. So they have more mental clarity, right? So obviously they're going to live longer. That doesn't mean that's that way for everybody, but at the end of the day, when you have less chemicals in your system, you have less physiological stress. And when you reduce physiological stress, you have more brain power. And when you have
Mm.
more brain power, you can see more clearly, which means when you have clarity, you can take heartfelt action to your own benefit. But when you don't, you take action to your detriment. And when we look at humans today, we can say, look, we got to look at, are they healthy? And what does that mean? Are they intelligent physically and instinctually? Are they intelligent emotionally? Are they intelligent psychologically and mentally in terms of their analysis? And are they healthy spiritually? Now we got to take it out another level. Are they healthy financially?
Right.
Right? Are they able to produce and provide and protect their family and help them grow at an emotional level by developing them culturally and having them to go, having the resources to be able to take them to different places on the planet so that they can learn more about everything.
Mm, man. I mean, uh, I'm going to say this, and I hope for the Pharaoh fans, you feel the same way. But you have given me a lot in this, just probably just the last 5-10 minutes. You have given me a lot to really consider when we're talking about putting stuff in your body.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the stress that you carry with yourself and how to handle and deal with that stress. You have given me a lot to think about. I'm literally considering like relinquishing uh the alcohol as well as the coffee, because if those toxins are limiting the clarity that I'm having
Yep.
to make effective decisions. Because let's think about it, caffeine, it gives you energy, but it also, it can give you also alertness and give you that energy that you need, but you're not thinking clear because your mind is running rampant because the caffeine
Yep.
is pushing you. It's
Yep.
pushing you.
Yep.
Man, when we think about alcohol, as you said, as a downer, but it inebriates you to the point where you can't think.
You become too
You know,
passive.
your reaction becomes slow. You can't necessarily function in, your thought placement is in the wrong area, and
Yep.
you can end up losing. As anybody know, when you're drinking alcohol, you can end up losing a lot more
Hmm.
than just your own senses. You
Yep.
lose control of over your bodily functions at that point in time. You can lose your house, your whole finances, especially if you're
Yep.
drinking and driving.
Yep.
One wrong turn, one wrong move,
Yep.
and it's all gone.
Boom.
And put it in that perspective, even if you're at home drinking, you're losing time by
Yep.
being inebriated.
Yep.
They say that it takes 2 hours for a bottle of beer to leave your system, but it takes almost 4 hours for, I think, 4 ounces of liquor to
Yep.
leave your system. Like that is a lost concept of time, especially when you're continuously drinking and drinking and drinking. It takes longer for that alcohol and those toxins to leave your system. So you're losing more and more time of effective decisions
Yep.
and, being more productive, because now you're still trying to catch up on the time that you lost and your body
Mhm.
trying to recuperate from the toxins that you put into your body.
Yeah, and there is this concept that you're leading everyone towards, and the old adage is time is a valuable asset, right? And some people would consider that the most valuable asset. Yet I would say your most valuable asset is love, right? And anyone who loves themselves would never make the choice to put poison inside of you.
Mm.
And then you have to ask your question is, why don't I love myself enough? And what is it inside of me that's informed me and told me that I'm worth less than absolute, focused, clear, action oriented steps to my benefit? And you have to ask yourself is what's in the way of that, right? And that's where I started out the second half of our conversation with honesty is your best tool. Because at least if you're honest, you then have the ability to break a pattern that you had no idea was interfering with your potential. All right. And your potential to what? Your potential to feel love, your potential to be excited, your potential to be mentally clear, your potential to be connected and feel supported by God, by source, by the universe at all times. And the question is, why would you not want to feel that? And if you're willing to answer that question honestly, then you got a really good shot at breaking that pattern and building an entirely new relationship with your body, which your body is going to love and is going to reward you enormously for doing that.
Wow. I am taken back today. Mind blown for sure. Chris, the first thing I want to say is thank you for coming onto the show.
Oh, thank you.
And farewell fans, I'm going to tell you the truth. This conversation has taken a completely different turn than what it was scheduled to be. but I honestly believe that this information was more informative to the farewell fans and my nature than the conversation that we had scheduled. And I believe Chris probably would agree as well that this conversation was way more informative, more plentiful, and you have really gotten more information about yourself and the things that you need to do and how honest you need to be with yourself in order to be able to have your body to be true to itself and true to its nature.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to live a lot longer, then there are certain toxins that you do not need to be in your body and need to go practice something a little different.
Yeah.
So, Chris, definitely thank you for coming onto the show. Appreciate all the information that you provided. Farewell fans, I'll catch you on another go around. Peace.